Hi, welcome to A Foreigner in the Philippines. I wanted to talk about, it's an age-old subject, it's an age-old challenge, the idea of being yourself. And well, if you're a writer or you're a singer, an entertainer, finding yourself takes on a totally new meaning, takes on a totally new importance. And yet, for anybody, what shall we call you? An ordinary person is someone who is not a celebrity in the celebrity's mind. Yes, well, it's just an ordinary person, isn't she? She's not a celebrity or royalty. The importance of being yourself is really, really vital for your own benefit, not just for how other people will respond to you. For you, it's really important, because then you become authentic. You're not copying anyone else. I did a video, or wrote a piece some time ago, where I said, if you want to find out who you are, this is what you do. You internalize, you go inside your head. You go inside your head, and when you get inside your head, let me describe what you're probably going to find in there. You're going to find a multitude of voices, a multitude of statements, of opinions, of bad stuff, good stuff, ugly stuff. You're going to find the statements of everyone who you have ever met, and they're going to be in there. And what you will find is that you have been making those statements. I'm going to say this as though it's as true for you as it is for me. And then you can use it if you want, or you can throw it out and say, well, he's just waffling on again, isn't he? That's what he does. And you would be right. But if you go inside, then in there, think of it like, I don't know, like a furniture store. You're going to go in there and you're going to find settees and couches and dressers and kitchen stuff and bathroom stuff, and something about every aspect of living. And you're going to find stuff that you sit on and it's uncomfortable, and you're going to find stuff that doesn't please the eye. Now, these are all people, and they've been with you an awful long time. Now, how do you find out which one is you? Well, what you start off is you listen to the loudest voice. You listen to the loudest voice. Probably mother, father, uncle, aunt, brother, sister, all those people that have been with you the most in your life. The motivational speakers of the day, of today, they all claim, they state that you are a composite of the 6 people you spend the most time with. Now this means that you've got to be very careful who you spend time with, because what's happening is that if you think of it in terms of your phone or a computer, in the modern language, computer speak, you are downloading everything that's being said, and it's all going in there. Think of it like CDs. You're putting it on a shelf, and without even thinking about it, you're taking that stuff down and you're playing it. And you're playing it as if it's your own. So, wouldn't it be good to stop playing other people's crap? And if you're going to play crap, at least let it be your own. So, the simple answer, and of course there is no simple answer, but my simple answer to get you through the next difficult part, and it's really important this, sometimes you need to take the simple view, the simple route, you need to take the simple answer and use it just to get you through the day. Remember that song, Whatever Gets You Through the Night? Whatever gets you through the night. Something like that. Get yourself through the night. Get yourself through the day. Get yourself through the next hour, the next 5 minutes of finding and plucking out those people who have been dominating your thoughts. And because thought is the originator of actions, that's where you have a dream, you make a plan on the basis of that dream, and then you work at making that dream and plan unfold in your life. So thought becomes reality eventually, good or bad or ugly. So you need to find out which one is you. Now, when I first started in a big band, I came out of the army, and up to then, everything that I'd ever played really was acoustic. Every large band or orchestra that I'd ever played in, military bands, are not amplified. They're acoustic. They're, whatever the sound comes out at the end of the bell is, that's yours. And it's easy to identify yourself. And then I joined a band called Bob Miller and the Miller Men, which for a few of you old farts that have still managed to struggle through with me, you may remember that. Well, when I first joined that and went on stage for the first time playing the trombone, I played the trombone in a section, in a section of 3 trombones, and I blew, and I was a pretty good player then. I didn't know where am I? What? Everything is amplified to such a degree, and I'm paying the price now, by the way, because all of the top frequencies of my hearing have vanished by the abuse, and I couldn't find who I was. Where's the trombone sound that I'd been working at for so long and working so hard at, and I couldn't hear myself. So what are we looking at? We're looking at something that looks like this. Looking at playing a trombone, and the end of the bell is at the end of a tube. So it comes out of your mouth, goes down like that, it comes round, it comes back up here, and then it comes over your shoulder and out through this. So you're looking at something and listening to something that's actually pointing far away. So it's difficult, and it takes time and effort and skill to actually be able to hear what you are playing. And in order for you to do your part in producing the sound of the band, you need to be able to hear what you are playing so that you can adjust, tune, all of those things. And it took time for me to do that, and I was completely perplexed because I'd never been in a band where everybody was playing and I was the only one apparently that didn't know what the hell he was doing. So I finally managed to realize who I wasn't. I realized I wasn't the drummer. That was an easy one. I realized I wasn't the guitar player or the bass player. I realized I wasn't a trumpet player. I'm thinking of all of these sounds. And by a process of elimination, I found that I was one of the trombone players. I recognized all of those. And then I found my own unique sound. And my sound was unique. Sometime later in the same band, I hooked up again with an old friend from the army who had known me for a long time in the army before he was finally discharged and left me there to serve the rest of my time. And we played a lot together, and he knew my sound. And I hooked up with him again and told him that, well, I'm in the Bob Miller Band. He said, we listen to your broadcast. We listen to the Bob Miller broadcast every week. Wednesday was it was a show called Parade of the Pops, and you can probably still find a record of that for some time. And I was doing that for about 2 years. He said, I knew it was you. He said, I could hear you in that band. So from that, you can assume that I found my sound. Now, the challenge that we're facing here, if we are helping you at all, is for you to find the equivalent of your sound. What do you sound like? You don't sound like your mother or your father. Let me assure you of that. You don't sound like your brother. You don't sound like your sister. You don't sound like your teacher. You don't sound like the parish priest. You don't sound like that kid that you hated. You don't sound like the kid who was your best pal. You don't sound like the girl you first met and fell in love with. You don't sound like the wife you just divorced. Those are the people that you don't sound like. Now, what did those people used to say? Well, I can bet anything on the fact that the kid that you used to hate had loaded up a lot of stuff that you couldn't do. Yeah, well, you're no good at that, are you? You call that a drawing? Are you kidding me? You can't play football. You can't kick a ball. You don't know what day it is. How can you do that? And guess what? You've been replaying all of that stuff every time you've gone to do something, which reminds you of what old idiot head used to say about you. And I've given you this example once before, or maybe twice. A lady that I met who proceeded to tell me about the damaging, and I'm not belittling what she said because it was damaging and heartbreaking to listen to, the marriage relationship that she had just come out of with a man who all that he did was put her down. And in telling me about that, and in telling me what she learned, she recounted all the stories. Well, he said, I did this wrong, and I did that, and he said that I couldn't do this, and I couldn't do that. And I listened to this for a little while, and then I said, so he did a really good job on you, didn't he? About telling you you couldn't do this and couldn't do that. And she said, yes, he did. Said, and now he's out of your life, yes? And she said, yes. And I said, you are still doing his job. You're still recounting that you can't do this and you can't do that, and because he said so. So, stop. Stop doing that to yourself. Don't tell those stories any more. Quit. And start telling the stories that are good for you. I remember, and this is true, this is not a made-up anecdote to support my argument. I remember reading a letter once in a newspaper many years ago from someone who I call a housewife in Sheffield. Now, somebody had written in and said that in order to feel good about what I do, I imagine all of the voices of my good friends. And if I'm, say, making a dress, let's say that she was making a dress, I just imagine my friends looking at the finished thing, which is yet to happen in the future, and saying, wow, Doris, how can you do such incredible work? This is so beautiful. Just look at the stitching. Isn't it so incredible? Did you work from a pattern? This is wonderful, 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 great, great, great. All of these things. And she said, I hear them, and I hear them, and I hear them. And hearing them say such incredible things about me, how could my work not be good enough to warrant such wonderful praise? And boy, I've remembered that since. And whenever I did something, unless I was feeling down and I was on a losing streak, I would recount the same thing, use the same technique. You can use this and find it works. So, back to the problem. We're back in your head again. And what is it like? Probably it's an absolute bedlam, because you're hearing everything. Now, some of the things that you'll hear would be worth keeping, but you take the statements, you take the voices, and you make them your own. And then you let the person go. So it's a case of recognizing whether you're a trumpet player, whether you're a guitar player, and if you're neither, then let them go. Don't keep the voices which are not your own. So, let's simplify things again. So, we'll get rid of the voice of your mom. We'll get rid of the voice of your father, of your Uncle Harry, and your Aunt Jessie. And we'll get rid of your brother Sid and your sister Joyce, and let them go. And how do you do that? Well, first of all, you listen, you acknowledge, and then you say goodbye. And you let all of those people go. How do you find yourself? If you let go of all of those people, what will be left will be you. And then you'll be a pretty badly beaten up you. So now starts the repair work. Now, when you do something, you need to remember the housewife in Sheffield. And you need to find those people who have always encouraged you and make them your mind friends. Now, when I first started to write, I used to write to my friend Billy. And Billy was someone who was in the band that I was in for a long time. I was in a band for 7 years, and Billy was one of the people who I could always laugh with. If I told him a joke, he always thought it was funny. If I told him something, he always listened. He was an ally. So when I started to write, I first discovered just how wonderful writing is, and that I had a voice because I wrote letters to Billy. And Billy would write me a little note saying, "Thank you for your letter. It was so funny. I laughed out loud." And that was all the encouragement that I need. So, everything I wrote for Billy. I wrote better and better and better because Billy loved what I did. And so I'm always thankful for Billy. Now, I have no doubt that you have a Billy in your life, or you can borrow mine. His wonderful audience. So, this is where the repair work begins. Now, because of the beating that you've taken from Mum, Dad, Uncle Harry, Aunt Jessie, brother, sister, I don't know, teacher, policeman, all of those people who have been beating you up because you tend to hold on to the negative, you're in pretty bad shape probably, but it needn't take long to get yourself in good shape. When you start working out, all of the great fitness people say the first month is actually for you. The second month is for when you start to make some gains, and the third month is where other people start to notice the difference. So think of it kind of like that, the 3-month deal. Now you're going to make sure that when you actually listen to yourself, you're going to validate yourself for being you. What is there to validate about you? Well, you. And you need to be able to listen to yourself. And you need to go it alone. That's the thing. Get used to it. You need to go it alone. You need to face a fear every day and know that the next day, guess what you're going to have to do again? You're going to have to face that fear. And that's the big challenge for you, is that you have to do it again and again and again. And eventually, you just won't be afraid of that anymore, because you'll have conquered it enough times for you to say, hey, whatever was I afraid of? That's my thought on finding out who you are, what you are, how unique you are, and beginning to grow from there. That's the big thing. Now, you may not be a great storyteller, but you can learn even that. But that's another video. Thanks for looking in on this. Be yourself. Everybody's been saying it all along. Well, just be yourself. But it's not so easy if you've got all of those idiots inside your head which you are giving energy to. Let them go. Let them go. This is a foreigner in the Philippines. Thank you for listening. Bye for now.